we have been viewing mental health all wrong. We've been approaching it from a backwards perspective, a compartmentalized perspective. We've been trying to fix things at a symptom level, and we have not been looking at the entire picture. I'm Melissa, a trauma and relationship therapist and a military veteran, and I have dedicated this page to helping you understand not just how the mind works, but how you as a human interact with your environment and how you can help yourself stop repeating patterns, start taking care of your mental health through the whole picture. I'm going to give you the mechanics so you can do it yourself because not everybody can afford therapy. Not everybody needs therapy. And honestly, therapy is literally like 10% or less of the whole picture. So I'm going to start showing you what the entire picture is by breaking down the model that I have developed as a therapist through painstaking observation, a lot of trial and error to see what is actually going on behind people's behaviors, behind their thoughts, behind their emotions. And I started to ask myself, why do some people seem to attract in trauma while others don't? Why do people have repeating patterns? Why in my couple sessions does there seem to be very specific characters and roles that people play within the relationship? I have looked at this from so many different angles, and I am truly gifted in that way to where I can pull from a whole bunch of different things and find a way to interconnect them. So in the next 10 videos, I will be breaking down the model that I've created called the spiral recovery model, because we really need to stop chasing symptoms and start changing the system that we are working with it. So in the mental health world that we are in, we are doing things like this. And what I mean by this, these are stairs. It's very jagged. We do a lot of 90-degree turns in our world, meaning we try to strong arm things. We try to go from 0 to 100 in the way that we operate. So these 90-degree turns could be therapy, self-help stuff, just simply like trying harder. It could also look like deciding you're going to start going to the gym, deciding you're going to start doing a diet, something that we're shifting from 0 to 100 or like a little bit to a lot of it. This is actually what happens when military members transition out of the military and become veterans and they transition back into the civilian life. It's this like all of a sudden 90-degree drop. And so if you notice when you do these things, when you strong arm things, that you tend to like bounce right back. Like you may go to therapy for a while, or you may do some self-help. You may try harder, like going to the gym, going on diets, but you just bounce right back to where you were, and sometimes even further back than where you were before mentally. And this is because we're doing it all wrong. We're not operating in the way that nature intended us to move. I started looking at humans like nature. Like, well, our bodies are made of the elements of nature, so why would we be any different than, say, a tree outside when it comes to how we change and how we grow and how we're supposed to be moving in this reality that we're living in? Because the tree outside is straight up chilling. It's just existing. It's just being. So why is it so much harder for humans than it is for nature? And who knows? I mean, I'm not really in the consciousness of a tree, so maybe it is hard for them, but from what it looks like, they're just chilling. And the difference is our level of conscious awareness and our ability to be in the observer role and control our behaviors. So how nature actually works does not operate like this. I mean, sometimes you might see something very drastic, like an earthquake or a volcano eruption, sort of like natural disaster. But if you notice, even in nature, the natural disasters look like this. This is how nature moves. And if you can't see that, I'll do it in orange. This is how nature moves in spirals. This is how our DNA moves. This is how galaxies move. This is how shells move as well. And there's different types of shells. I've actually studied different types of shells because I was very curious. I'm like, okay, let's actually study nature. Let's look at the similarities between us and the differences in different ways. So the first thing that popped in my head were shells. Like, well, how do shells get different shapes? I actually didn't even know that the organism within the shell is what creates the shell. that the that the animal inside the shell is what's making the shell bigger and the specific shape that it's in. It's so funny because there's all kinds of different types of shells. You got the long, skinny ones. You got like the big, fat, like clammy type shells. And a whole bunch of different shells. And the determining factor about what the shape of the shell is going to be is the animal itself and the environment it's in. That the animal itself creates the shell to adapt to its environment. It's a very symbiotic relationship, meaning like the organism or the animal is interacting with the environment itself. And that's exactly what humans do. But because we're not intentionally doing it, we're not making an intentional, proactive effort to interact with our environment, we're often just reacting. This is why things are so hard for us because we've been conditioned over time to defy nature. We've been going against nature. And look at us paying for it now with all the mental health issues, with all the physical problems, all these autoimmune issues. There is a correlation between your mental and your physical. And until we start combining all of these efforts, we're still going to have these issues because nature, it's all encompassing. You cannot compartmentalize nature. It all works together. And we all need to be working together and merging our fields to find the solution to these problems that we're having. And that's exactly what I've done here. So I have used physics to help explain our issues with our mental health. And that's what this series is going to be about. It's going to be about helping you understand how nature operates and allowing you to operate in the same way. Because your mental health problems have far less to do with diagnosis and symptoms and far more to do with the biggest picture of it all. Because we've been looking in all the wrong areas. We have been chasing symptoms and we have not been zooming all the way in and zooming all the way out to see how we are interacting with our environment, with nature. So you might have noticed that you experience repeated loops in your life, repeated experiences, the same cycle happening again and again and again. And this is something that I learned in the work that I was doing with my clients. And I started asking those questions. Why are these things happening again and again? This is crazy. How does this keep happening where this person keeps ending up with the same type of partner or the same type of job that they hate? Or how do they keep feeling the same exact way no matter what their circumstances are? That's mind blowing to me. I have found the answers to this, and I'm going to walk you through how to find them for yourself as well. So, in the next video, we're going to learn how to map one of these loops, one of these repeating patterns, and I'm going to help give you different eyes to see. So, make sure you subscribe so you can follow along in this 10 video series on how to learn how to help yourself with the spiral recovery model.